All right, so nice deep breath. So then right here at the beginning, invite your mind to let go of its need to have a certain kind of experience. So that there is instead just a simple curiosity. See if you can drop any sense of anxiety about doing it right, figuring it out, having a certain kind of an experience, so that there's just this openness and receptivity and curiosity about how the moments are going to unfold in the next 15 or 20 minutes. So this is such an important practice, to just be present with one's experience and not in any way try to direct it or control it or especially make it better. That's a huge trap. So be curious about what happens and what the mind does when we're not chronically stimulating it. One could say all minds are addicted to stimulation until the mind has kind of broken that addiction. So with just great curiosity, watch the inner experience. Without preferring one thing over the other. See if you can not allow mind to move in the direction of spaciness or tranciness or even sleepiness, if possible. See if you can stay in a mode of kind of intense interest in what's happening. A deep aspiration to connect with reality, with a capital R. With Source. Now you're no doubt going to encounter default consciousness, the way mind normally operates during any given day. Busyness, jumping from thing to thing, cataloging, categorizing, liking, not liking, judging. And don't try to change that per se. Step back from it. And just let awareness observe the workings of the mind. The inner experience. A sense of your energy and your mood. Sense of the emotion that's present in your experience. Let things come into awareness and move through, and let them go. Just allow everything in your experience to arise and to run its course and to fall away. Now there will inevitably be times when you just simply get lost in the mind. Mind will kind of suck awareness into its fantasy, and you'll spin off, and you won't even know that you've done that. It's totally fine. As soon as you become aware that that's happened, let it go and return back just to this curiosity. Now often we've been trained to come back to the breath, come back to mantra. And I'm asking you, just for tonight, don't do that. Come back to curious attention, to curious awareness. Awareness that's curious about experience. And also, see if you can be aware of the background. We've used these metaphors of words on a blank white page, right? Or images on a screen, on a white screen, or transparencies over the light on the overhead projector. So your experience that you're aware of right now, everything happening in the mind and the body, this is the foreground. These are the words and images. In the background is pure silence, stillness, vast, deafening silence. And even as mind tries to perpetuate its drama, its stories and its emotions, and tries to stay in touch with a familiar sense of self, even as that's happening, notice that in the background is this profound presence. Vast stillness. Awareness may not be used to being aware of that. It's perhaps awareness is used to being aware of experience and identifying with experience. When awareness begins to sense the presence of this background vastness, stillness, and silence, it's actually becoming aware of itself. Hold this question without necessarily speaking it, just hold the spirit of this question to your own deepest, highest self. The question is, what do you want me to see? What do you want me to know? If I am to assume that in this moment you're revealing yourself to me, how can I see you and know you? And then let go of all efforting whatsoever. And let awareness just sit in itself. Present, awake, alert, receptive. If the activity of the mind is all you can see, all you can notice, if it just feels like it's so compelling and so busy and so loud that there's nothing else you can see, then simply be aware of it as the activity of your mind, not what you are, just the activity of your mind. And see if you can notice what the contents are without becoming them. Say to yourself now and again, I am not the contents of my experience. I am the awareness attending to the contents of my experience. Right now, so to help with this process of beginning to notice what's behind, we could say, behind the words, behind the mental activity behind the images on the screen to help us to notice the background. We're going to do some pranayama. The pranayama helps things to quiet down in the mind a little bit, so it's easier to be aware of the stillness and silence, the vastness that is the background screen. So begin by breathing in deeply and breathing out slowly. Give yourself the gift of this. Some part of the mind might resist. Some part of the mind is like, oh, I'm so comfortable. I'm like right on the edge of taking a little nap here. I'm liking it. I don't want to have to breathe. It's too much work. Give yourself the gift of breathing more fully and more deeply. Fill up the belly, let it rise up into the chest, lift the chest, the breastbone. Don't strain, but it will take a little effort. Breathe in like you're drawing in fresh prana in from the space all around you, 360 degrees. Breathing in through the pores of your skin, breathing in through the chakras. Breathing out to let go, to purify, to release, to detoxify, to ventilate. Concentrate intently on the breathing experience, all the elements and phases of the breath. Now let yourself rest between the breaths. So at the end of the exhalation, just rest for a moment in breathlessness. For as long as you're comfortable before your next inhalation. And in that rest, just be utterly in stillness. Full inhalation and a slow exhalation, and then just a resting and allowing your awareness to kind of expand into the vast stillness that you find there between breaths. Now see if, as you inhale and exhale, you can stay in touch with that stillness. That stillness that you can experience in between breaths. See if you can stay in touch with it and not lose it entirely as you inhale and exhale. See if you can sense how the background stillness, this vast, silent, spacious consciousness, doesn't come and go, it doesn't change, it's not active. It's the constant backdrop against which everything that the mind creates comes and goes. Against with the inhalation is in its active form, the exhalation becomes more passive, but all of that is happening against the background of that which is utterly still. Even if you're only catching 2.5 seconds of a glimpse of that stillness, become more interested in it. Now, we're going to do 3 rounds of Bhastrika. If you recall, a very full inhalation and exhalation pretty rapidly. We're going to do 3 rounds of 11. In between, you're going to have this opportunity to just be in stillness, to really sense this boundaryless field of pure awareness consciousness. Is there anybody that isn't having any experience of that, even if it's just for a second and a half? Anybody not having any experience of that? So you get the idea of what I'm talking about? That there's something in the background? I want you to become more curious about that as you rest after these rounds of Bhastrika. It's going to give you the opportunity to just kind of really focus. You'll feel your energy and consciousness shifting a little bit because of the quick breathing, but then more and more just let yourself become curious about the background stillness and spaciousness. All right, so I'd like you to follow along with my pace, please. 3, 2, 1. And be still, be completely still, just be aware. Be awareness, aware of its own nature, its own utter stillness, silence, vastness. think of this vast field as the source, the mystery behind all things, the infinite intelligence and unspeakable love behind all things. The mind can't capture it. The mind can't cut it up and put a pin through it and stick a Latin name on it on a corkboard. Mind can't control it, can't figure it out. And so mind perhaps will want to go back to its distractions. And awareness notices that and stays in its center. What do we mean by stays in its center? I want you to notice that awareness, to be aware of a thought, has to rise up and extend out to the thought. For awareness to be aware of a noise, it has to rise up and extend out to the noise. To see something, it has to rise up and extend out to that which is seen. For awareness to know itself, it has to stay back in itself, not arise, not extend out. You can't take steps toward yourself. You already are yourself. So in these spaces between the rounds of Bhastrika, just stay in your center. Allow awareness to stay in itself. To not have to extend out to the creations of the mind, but to just stay in its own still, spacious, silent nature. To feel its boundlessness. All right, a second round, just a little quicker this time. 3, 2, 1. And be still, just utterly be still. Let awareness just stay centered in itself and not extend out to other things. Know that everything important for your life arises out of this field of silence and stillness. Every resource. Your strength, wisdom, guidance, love, compassion, tranquility, joy arises out of this vast infinite field of pure consciousness. Just have the feeling of being utterly in the center of yourself. And allow to fall away any of the familiar markers of a separate self. A limited, separate person self. Just for a moment, let all that fall away and just be in your absolute center, in your absolute heart, which is just pure beingness that is aware. One last round of Bhastrika. We'll do it together this time, just a little quicker still. 3, 2, 1. And be still. Just let yourself have a deep conviction that what you are is pure consciousness awareness. That's what you are. And everything else comes and goes. Just for a moment, let everything that is not this stillness, that is not this centered beingness, just drop away. Just let it go. So I'm going to do one more practice with pranayama. I like this one to end with because it's energizing without being exhausting. And so this is the pranayama where, if you recall, we kind of hum like a bee. You project the sound right up here into the third eye. Do you remember this? The index finger is over your brow. The two middle fingers rest on the bridge covering your eyes, the bridge of your nose covering your eyes, and the little finger rests on, what is that? The cheekbones. Okay? Don't do it yet, but your thumbs are going to go in the little flap and close your ears so that you can't hear anything. You'll take a slow, full inhalation and project the vibration of the right in between the eyebrows. So it's going to look like this. And you'll do the whole exhalation that way, then you'll take a nice full inhalation and then do it again. We'll do it 4 times. Go your own pace. Okay? Let's go together. And just be in the stillness. Be the stillness. Awake awareness. Just resting in its own nature. You are awake awareness, just abiding in your own nature. Without boundary, without center. Free of fear and desire, whole and complete. With nothing to do and nothing to accomplish, but to come more fully into this realization. Nice deep breath. Feel the feet on the floor. Let the body begin to move a bit.